What's up, everybody? My name is Evan Freiberger, and today we're going to be doing the 2-day ASAP weather forecast. Here we go. All right, looking at the United States, you can see that these are the current conditions out there. And unfortunately, over here, near an area that was hit by an EF4 tornado about a year and a half ago, Mayfield wasn't a flash flood emergency earlier. They're not under that anymore, but we still have this pretty large flash flood emergency for parts of Metropolis, Paducah, going up into southern Illinois there. So definitely turn around, don't drown. If you see those rivers rising, make sure you're getting to higher ground. We've had reports of 2 to 3 feet of floodwaters over the roads out there. Other areas across the United States, you can see that there is some rain there in Kansas and Nebraska. But another area of focus for today is going to be over here for the next couple of hours, going through Virginia Beach, Kitty Hawk there, and parts of Virginia and North Carolina. We do have a tornado watch out there for you guys. So if you live in these areas, make sure that you have a plan in place to deal with the severe weather. You can see that we already have a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it with 60-mile-per-hour winds, so watch out there. That is going towards Aullander next, and then just to the east of Richmond, also still have a severe thunderstorm warning over here as well. Talking about today, let's go over to the severe weather outlook for today. As you can see, we do have a slight risk out there for parts of Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin there. Then also another slight risk over here that is kind of uptrended since we last looked at it. As you can see, we've already had a tornado report, and this could potentially be a significant tornado. We're gonna have to wait for the NWS to go out there, the National Weather Service, to go out there and check it out. But I mean, I've seen some videos of this. It was definitely a large cone tornado that was on the ground there, and still waiting for reports of damage. Have seen some things showing that like there's trees down and stuff, but haven't really had that story develop too much yet. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at for today. So let's go ahead and take this off here, and then come over to the models here, like that. We're going to be looking at the HRRR, as we always do. Again, this isn't a 100% model, so our correct model, so make sure you are keeping that in mind as I go forward here. And add a couple hours, subtract a couple hours, because this isn't going to be 100% accurate. So let's go out throughout the rest of today, see how the timing is going to develop here across the United States. So as you can see, we did have a quite significant rainfall there near Mayfield earlier today, and that's subsiding, so that's not going to be too much of an issue anymore. Then we still have these storms over here, and as you can see, they're going to be going pretty much from now all the way into 4 p.m. and then maybe even some more storms on the backside starting to form there, and they go sink down towards Jacksonville, North Carolina. Then as we get into the overnight hours, everything is pretty much over there. Some rain is going to be happening over here in Nashville, in Kentucky, maybe some lightning strikes there. But let's move this back. So yeah, right here in the Nebraska, Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas area, you can see that storms start to pop up. Let's see here in Colorado first at around 4 p.m. and then that line of severe weather moves off to the east there at around 7 p.m. Small tornado risks with these, but the main risk is going to be those damaging winds and hail for parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and Oklahoma. And that threat moves into eastern Kansas by the overnight hours. And then I still have some maybe severe weather just to the north of Joplin and Springfield as we get into the early morning hours there. Also, some rain is going to be possible. And some storms over there for Minnesota. There's also a 5% tornado risk up here. So let's go check out the kinematics with these storms. If we look at the upper level winds, there's a little bit there. Not really strong, but and the lower level winds are not very strong by 6 p.m. But, a couple spin-ups are possible, especially there just to the north of Minneapolis. Not too much instability out here, as you can see by the surface-based cape. So that's going to limit these storms' severe potential. But, a couple brief spin-ups are definitely possible out here, especially, right as we get into the 6 p.m., 7 p.m., then by about 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. you can start to see that instability waning up there. But yeah, so that's what we're expecting up there for today. And then now we're going to move this into tomorrow. And first, we're going to look at the severe weather risk for tomorrow. We do have a slight risk out here in the Ohio Valley, going up all the way up into Michigan and Kentucky. Also a little slight risk over here for South and North Carolina. But over here is the main story. Let me move this rain out of the way. There we go. We do have an enhanced risk, which is a 3 out of 5 for severe weather for parts of Colorado, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Damaging winds and hail are going to be a main threat. Wouldn't be surprised to see this get uptick to a 5% tornado for this region. But you can see as we go into tomorrow, you can see we do have some storms pop up in that region. Definitely have severe capabilities there. And let's go look at the atmosphere when these storms start to fire. Looking at the 500 millibar. Yeah, there's a little bit there. Not super strong. 850 millibar winds. Not super strong either. Yeah, a small chance, but I wouldn't rule out, a couple 1 or 2 isolated tornado warnings or tornadoes out of this storm. But the main risk with this enhanced risk, the wind risk is going to be the main story with this event. SIG severe, 30%. SIG severe, which means that you could potentially see winds up to 75 miles per hour. Hail is not going to be as much of the threat. So the main threat for tomorrow in this region is going to be those damaging winds. So a damaging wind event and with a small risk for tornadoes, but it's not a non-zero. So it would definitely be weather aware for that as well. So let's come back over to here and kind of look at the rest of the country. So out here, bring this back up just so we can get a little bit of a better picture. So out here in the slight risk, up here in the Ohio Valley, you can see as we go into the evening hours at around, or I guess the early morning hours too, 9 a.m. all the way in southern Illinois, there see some strong storms start to fire, move into Kentucky by around 11 p.m. Also potentially some storms up there in Ohio, right along the coast there, on the Great Lake right there. And then yeah, they kind of died down. Maybe some spotty areas of severe weather still possible at around 2 p.m. And then we start to see this cluster start to fire back here in Indiana, and that can also pose a threat for severe weather there. I am curious, as some of those are kind of isolated. Yeah, decent amount of upper level shear, not a whole lot of lower level shear. Let's move this forward a little bit just to see if that picks up at all. Yeah, maybe right around 8 p.m. And do we have any convection up there? I wonder. Yeah, maybe right around 8 p.m. we could see an increased tornado threat over here near Toledo. Let me just make sure we have enough instability there as well. Where's that at? There it is. Yeah, there's enough instability up there as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a little bit of uptick of tornado activity at around 8 p.m. up there for northern Ohio. And then for the rest of the country over here, we have another slight risk down here. For Charlotte and Columbia and North and South Carolina, you can see got a little line of storms that moves in by around 2 p.m. And then around the Columbia area is when potentially we can have a little bit of a damaging wind event, and that should go off onto the coast or off of the coast there at 6 p.m. And then some spotty rain and showers, maybe some severe weather going into around 1 a.m. Near the Wilmington region. But again, these models aren't 100% accurate, so keep that in mind. But yeah, so that's pretty much what we're looking at for tomorrow. And let's see, can we really go in? Yeah, we really can't go into too much detail on day 3, but if we come over here, we can get a look at what the categorical risk is. So we do have a little marginal risk over right now, and again, these risks are going to change where they're located and how strong the storms will really be as we get closer to the event. But a marginal risk here for parts of New Mexico, Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming, and South Dakota. Then we have another one down here through Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and that's going to be on the 21st there. So yeah, definitely a decent amount of severe weather that's coming. You know, nothing too crazy, right? It's July, so you know the main things that we deal with in July are those damaging winds and large hail. But as you can see, can't rule out those random tornadoes. There wasn't really too much of a risk out here for tornadoes, and we could have potentially gotten a significant tornado. So that just goes to show sometimes Mother Nature has other things in plans than what these models do suggest. So let's come back over to this model run here. Perfect, we're already here, and then we're going to come over to the temperatures. So where's the hottest temperatures going to be for the next couple of days? Let's go check it out. So over here in the Pacific Southwest, you can see still hot temperatures. Unfortunately, Phoenix, those temperatures aren't going away anytime soon. And in fact, today at peak heating at around 5 p.m., I mean, you guys are going to be back up in those 100-degree temperatures. Also, 110, 118, almost approaching 120 down there, just to the north of Mexicali and south and east of Indio, California. Definitely some hot temperatures. Still some 100-degree temperatures expected across for Texas and Oklahoma. Then we got those 90s, upper 90s, all the way from Arkansas down in Alabama, up into South Carolina, and even in Virginia there. And you know, we also have some 80s. You know, this is pretty hot for these states up here. And then we have 90s going all the way up the west coast as well. And then coming back over here, let's move this model forward a little bit. Let me take off this dude. All right, there we go. All right, moving this model forward a little bit, you can see it cools down for the northern half of the country, but I mean down here in Texas and Oklahoma and the southeast, a lot of the southeast, and even around there, I mean, even 90s, maybe potentially getting pretty close to those 100-degree temperatures overnight at around 3 a.m. There in Arizona and southern California. And then we see the heat return again tomorrow, maybe even hotter temperatures around Phoenix here. Yeah, 114, 115, 117 degrees. Do we have any 120s yet? Still don't have any 120s, but you can't rule them out. Again, this model isn't completely accurate. A little bit cooler, relatively speaking, but it's still in the lower hundreds here for a lot of Texas. Having some hundreds spread into Arkansas, also Louisiana, northern Mississippi might see some hundreds. Northern Alabama is going to get very close. Maybe even Georgia is going to get in on those 100-degree temperatures as well. So, you know, make sure you have a plan in place to deal with that heat. Definitely going to be hot. Little interesting area to note here, potentially 100-degree temperatures there for Iowa, and maybe a small little area here just to the north of Kennewick of 100-degree temperatures there is that Washington or Oregon? No, that's Washington. In Washington. So yeah, definitely hot out there for a lot of the country going into tomorrow, and then that's going to cool down overnight for most of these areas. Cool down a little bit more than what happened the previous day, but yeah, so definitely some severe weather is out there, so make sure you're weather aware for that. And also some heat still sticking around for a lot of the country. Not really seeing any indication that that's going to stop anytime soon. But yeah, thank you for watching, and everybody have a good rest of your day. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, as that does help out the channel a lot. And I will see you on the next one.